Good afternoon and welcome to Transition Talks Tuesdays, Fall 2025 edition. My name's Tim Markle. I'm director of the Youth Health Transition Initiative out of the Weisman Center. I am so excited today because I've been doing Transition Talks Tuesdays for like 3 years now. And that's a number of people that have been in to talk and share and teach me stuff. Have never had anybody from juvenile justice system in. And so I am just totally excited so that we can learn a little bit about how Wisconsin's juvenile justice system supports youth moving into adulthood. For those who don't know, the Division of Juvenile Corrections works to reduce delinquent behavior and promote safety for victims in the community. Their mission is to promote a juvenile justice system that balances protection of the community, youth accountability, and competency building for responsible and productive community living. I am so excited. Two people that I've now known for a couple of years now, Pam Richter-Boss and Michelle Buell, are here to share with us about how does Wisconsin's juvenile justice support youth moving into adulthood. Please feel free to put questions into the chat. We'll have time at the end where you can unmute and ask questions as well. Pam and Michelle, thank you so much for being here today. I am so excited.
Well, thank you for inviting
All
us.
right.
So my name is Michelle Buell, and I'm a program policy analyst, program coordinator with the Division of Juvenile Corrections. And I've been with corrections for almost 18 years.
And I'm Pam Richter-Boss, Special Ed Coordinator with Division of Juvenile Corrections. I also oversee special ed for adult education as well. And I've been in over 31 years. Scary. Okay. So we will start off. Michelle, you want to start us off?
Sure. So we have two type 1 facilities in juvenile corrections. They're secure facilities located up in Irma, Wisconsin, which is about 25 minutes past Wausau. And we have both facilities on the same property, but they're sight and sound kind of separated. So we have Lincoln Hills, which is for the boys, and Copper Lake, which is for females. You can see kind of our average population for each of those sites. And the youth are placed at the facility per a court order. So, typically something has been going on in their life. They get in trouble with the law. Sometimes it's a first offense serious enough that they get court ordered to our facility. Sometimes there's been a number of things, arrest behaviors that have happened that have led them to our facility. Anything you want to add to that, Pam?
Nope. Nope.
Okay.
I think we're good. All right. So the educational programming that we provide at both facilities are academic assessments to begin with. When they're in reception, they have 1 week in the intake unit. And we also do the child find for special ed needs. We request all of their school records so that we can see prior history in terms of special ed, as well as if they've earned any high school credits. So their high school credits from previous schools will count in addition to the credits that we issue at Lincoln Hills and Copper Lake. Other areas that are provided, employability and career exploration. We have a great welding and wood shop that all the youth like to participate in. We also do GED and HSE testing, so the students can earn, they could earn their GED just through GED tests, or they could earn a full high school credits if they have enough credits to finish off with what we provide. And they also have the opportunity to go through HSC programming. And then we also do provide special ed programming. And then as part of the whole comprehensive package that we offer is a system of care where youth receive the treatment based on their risk needs and assessments. So it's not just like a separated school versus social work psychology. So it's kind of a whole encompassing care for the student, so that they can get the needs that to meet in any aspect that they have. So in terms of our special ed students, the counties that they're returning to, this is the data from 23, 24. Milwaukee is the highest rate of return, and then Dane County, and then you can see the other counties. So one of the things that we are going to be starting, we are currently in setting up the implementation phase and waiting for IRB approval. But we do have a grant, Transforming to Thrive, through the Disability Innovation Fund. And this is actually through Department of Workforce Development, DPI, and DOC. So this level of support is going to be kind of an add-on to what we are already providing in terms of institution to the community. So it's a multi-level system based on supports at aiming increasing competitive integrated employment for Wisconsin justice-involved youth. It is also to prepare the youth to be successful in the community and not return back to corrections, either juvenile or adult. This is a $10 million grant, which started October 2024 and ends in September 2025. So here are all the groups that are involved in the grant. We also have the Wisconsin Center for Educational Research and the Wisconsin Evaluation Collaboration involved because part of the grant is also to look at how implementation science works in developing a program at this size. So they're involved with us. We also have Smile Inc. from Milwaukee, who is a case management services. And we also have Department of Health Services with DWD. And we have Mendota. And then we also have the group Kids Forward. So there are three main goals to this project. There's the intensive supports, so comprehensive case management and Division of Vocational Rehabilitation in Department of Corrections. So this will be, and we'll go through further on another slide. For the case management services, the idea is to build that relationship while they're in the institution and then continue it when they're in the community. That is also the same with DVR. DVR has not been in corrections before, and this is opening a door to help youth that are in need of services for DVR to start off while they're in the institution and then transfer into the community. The second goal is also a dyslexia screener, which will happen in the correctional facilities that service 18 and under youth. And it's primarily a screener just to see, we do our best on child find, and then this is an extra layer that will help identify students and their language needs. And then goal 3 is digital media supports. So we are looking at youth-led digital storytelling campaign that's still in the progress. The ultimate goal of this also is to build a mobile phone app, which will help parents and youth with various services in the community and information about different resources that are available. So the goal 1 for the intensive supports, the focus is trauma-informed, community-based comprehension case management. So the individuals are, the case management individuals are working on developing that relationship, working on that trauma, and then support. And again, the dyslexia screener is going to be, um, it's already been selected. We're in the process of ordering it. And then hopefully after the IRB approval, we'll be able to begin those services. And then the digital media, we really want to make sure that the youth have a stay in their own storytelling. So there's actually going to be a campaign to I'm not sure if it's going to be bringing into the to our institutions, but I know in the community there's already set up so that they can do PowerPoints and videos and all kinds of other stuff to tell their story. Again, the mobile app to work on transition. And then if you want to stay up to date, this is the QR code for the grants information page. So that will be updated as new details appear for us. And then looking to the future, we are actually looking at the capacity of offering higher education programming through the technical colleges. Currently in the adult system, there are various institutions, including Madison College, Milwaukee Technical Area College, Moraine Park, UW-Madison, a bunch of other schools are offering or offering college classes through um, various systems. The adult students have tablets or clearbooks that they work on their homework. So all of the credits are going towards either an associate degree or other kinds of professional development. We are working on also in the adult system on expanding it to bachelor's degree programs. So we are excited that to the youth that have graduated are appropriate for the higher ed. We're looking forward to seeing if they can take the college courses. We're also looking forward to Milwaukee County opening the Type 1 facility. The opening should happen in the fall of 2026. They have the roof on right now, so they are working on all the inside structures and ordering supplies and furniture. So it's exciting to see this progress happen at a great pace right now. And then future planning is the Dane County site through in Oregon, Wisconsin. That's near the Grow Academy, also on the grounds near where Oak Hill Correctional is. And then that facility will house males and females. Again, there'll be a sight sound barrier from the females. The Milwaukee County will only be males. And then we're also looking to continue the implementation of our Transforming to Thrive grant and see how well that goes. And that's all I have. So I just want to say thank you from us. We have our contact information and email.
All right,
So
let me
Tim,
go ahead.
do you have any questions?
Yeah, so if you have any questions, please feel put them into the chat. I'm going to take off the spotlights here. Just one second. And again, my Zoom is not being happy or friendly today. So just one second. There we go. Okay. Well, I love the Transforming to Thrive grant. I hadn't heard about that before. So thank you so much for sharing that. I know that um, a lot of times um, the the youth that are part of the juvenile justice system, it, they get so disconnected from the other opportunities. And so seeing those opportunities brought into where the youth are, um, so that when they turn 18 or when they leave the facility, they have skills and better ideas about what the heck to do with life.
Mhm.
I think that is really, I think that is just really important. Um, what sort of are there like follow-ups in place for when they leave the facilities or when they turn 18? Um, I just the reason for that is I know that a lot of times there's families that talk to us about the the system in schools is like there's a lot of support for kids with disabilities and special health care needs in school. And then when they graduate, there's just not as many supports. And sometimes it feels like they're sort of just left out there to find stuff on their own. What sort of are the resources available for the youth that exit corrections to continue to get support and direction?
So for
Yeah,
our
great
youth when they
question. Oh, go ahead,
go
Michelle.
ahead.
You can
Okay.
go.
So for our youth when they leave the facility, um, typically they'll be on some kind of supervision. So for a handful of youth or a handful of counties, we have agents, kind of like probation agents, that supervise the youth in the county for a determined period of time. And sometimes that can be extended. For other youth, unless they're aging out of the system or they turn 18 and they go to the adult system because they have it was an adult crime. The other youth will be supervised by a social worker in the county. So for a determined period of time. So for our agents, they're working with them. Again, they're trying to month or two. Well, from the moment they're placed in the juvenile correctional facility, our agents get involved and they're already looking at that reentry planning on what does that look like when they leave, so that when the youth leaves, if they're still in high school, we can determine where are they going to go to school. Is it in the same school in their community, somewhere else? What does that look like for them? Where are they going to live? Is it with a parent or guardian or other supportive adult in their life? Sometimes they go to a step down facility, so residential care center. Sometimes they'll go to the Grow Academy, which is we have a 6-bed facility in Oregon. That's a non-secure facility. So they do have some supports. They have an agent that's working with them, making sure they're doing all the treatment things they need, making sure they're getting into school, checking, making sure they're going to school. If they're looking at any kind of post-high school education, they're working with them to help figure out what does that look like. So
Great. With the special education program, does it mirror the special education program in the other public schools, like with an individualized education program and then the post-secondary transition plan? And is it do they follow along a similar track as if they were
Yeah,
in high school?
we do everything that the public schools have to do. Yeah. Yeah. So we do transition plans and we do the IEPs.
Okay. For some reason, Pam, every so often you're just coming in and out, just so you know, your volume. Um, so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
assume
Okay.
sunspots or the northern lights are interfering. That's what I usually go to. We do have some questions in the chat, which you may or may not be able to answer. How has more intensive case management helped with recidivism or helping with the youth? What are the results that you've seen? So are you able to talk a little bit more about what you've seen with that intensive case management, really focusing in on that youth?
I don't have the
So we're still
recidivism data
in,
at hand, although, oh, go ahead, Pam.
I was just going to say with you know, I think it's my internet. So for the transforming and thrive, we have not started the case management services for that yet. We're still waiting on IRB approval before any services can be provided. But otherwise, Michelle, you can take over.
Yeah, so just in general, with when they used to leave our facility and they're being supported by that agent, we don't we have recidivism that can be found on our Wisconsin DOC public website for all of the DOC. I think they look at kind of like a 3-year tracking of an individual when they leave our facility. And I think just looking at that recidivism data, we've really tried to improve what our reentry supports look like over the years. We can always do better. But those results of that data does feed into, us making those changes for the youth.
And speaking of changes, can you talk a little bit more about the new facility opening in Milwaukee? What were the hopes of that? How is it going to be different from its before? We learn stuff about design that they're working on in a new facility? Because it's been a while since we've had a new facility.
Yes, it has. So several years ago, Act 185 passed. Again, on our public DOC website, there's a link with Juvenile Corrections and Act 185 that you can find all the historical legislative information on it. And what that was looking at was really trying to build smaller facilities throughout, instead of having a big facility up north that all the youth went to, building smaller facilities. And it was state-run type 1, which is what we are, secure facilities, but also county-run secure correctional facilities that are secure residential care centers for youth. CRCs is what we call them. And there was these funds that were being provided to counties if they wanted to create one of these CRCs in their county. And initially we had 5 counties interested, but it was like, you get money to build it, but there's no capital cost to keep it going, which was really hard for counties. So we actually have 2 counties that have created these CRCs or are in the process. And the thought is when a youth is sent to like corrections, they would first go to the county one. If the county one didn't accept them, they would come to the state one. There are certain offenses where that youth would automatically come to us, kind of bypass that county one and come straight to us. But really they would go to the county one. If they weren't accepted or they were full, they would come to us. So it's really about having more smaller facilities, more community based versus just one big one in a certain part of the state. So Racine County has one that they built. It's opened, and that one's open for the whole state. I think it's about 32 beds. They do have some beds for males and females. I think they only had 1 female when I went and visited last month. Milwaukee County is also building one. Theirs is only for Milwaukee County youth. It's not open to youth from the rest of the state. So those will be 2 county-run kind of correctional facilities. A lot of our youth are from Milwaukee. Pam had that nice little pie chart. Half or almost half of our youth come from Milwaukee. So the thought was if we have one built in Milwaukee, those youth are in their communities, closer to home, more supports, more community resources for those youth. With the thought of also if we build smaller ones in other areas of the state, again, trying to keep kids a little bit closer to home versus all up north, where, it might be a 3-4 hour bus ride, car ride to come see their youth. So that was the thought of it. It's taken a really long time to kind of get there. But that's why. With Lincoln Hills, so the new facility we're building in Milwaukee is 32 beds. The youth we currently have, I don't know if it's 60 youth, about 60 males up there. So obviously when we open, we can house some of those youth, but not all. So then building a second one in Dane County to house more of those youth. Once all of those youth that we have at Lincoln Hills, when those 2 facilities are built, we have no more youth at Lincoln Hills because they have a place to go. Lincoln Hills will transition actually to an adult facility. One thing I'll also mention too, Pam had mentioned that Mendota Juvenile Treatment Center is one of the partners for this grant. So for our youth that have very significant mental health needs, more than what our psych services staff can provide, they actually go to MJTC. We have a contract with them for males, and they've recently opened a female unit as well. So those youth go there to get those significant mental health needs met.
Thank you. Are you able to share the PowerPoint? I forgot to ask you that. I got this beforehand. Are you able to share that with me so that I can send it out?
Yeah, I sent you an email, so you should be getting it.
Oh yeah, I'm just behind, Pam. That's just me being me then.
That's okay.
Thank you. I appreciate
That's
that.
okay.
We have a thank you. Love the focus on keeping youth and their community closer to home. I think that's so, I mean, we know so much more about how supportive environments can help people get through tough times. And so being able to have that closer to home is fantastic. Any final questions? See, y'all were right at my 30-minute mark. You're like my favorites. Well done.
Thank you.
Well, Pam and Michelle, thank you so much for being here. This is something I needed to learn. And so I greatly appreciate it. I can't wait to spread the word so that people learn more about how juvenile corrections is supporting our youth as they transition into adulthood.
Yeah,
Appreciate the
thank
work
you.
that you do. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you guys.
Thank you.